Hey guys, welcome to this week's Midweek Motivation. My name is Jess. I'm one of the pastors here at Westside. And oh my gosh, we are in the middle of this series at Westside called Campfire Conversations. And really, we're walking through the book of Ephesians together on Sundays. And midweek on Wednesdays, we get to come together and have excellent campfire conversations. Those kind of cozy conversations where you're just getting lost in the fire and having really deep talks, and that's what we get to do. This week is no exception to that. We are jumping into this conversation of what community looks like. And we have Pastor Gabe joining us and a friend, Shauna, joining us. And we get to talk a little bit more about what community looks like at Westside. And Shauna gets to share a little bit about what community has meant for her. So check this out.
Is your community leaving you better? Hey, this is Gabe Kolstad, and I'm joined with some friends today, Jess Bishop and Shauna McAfee, and we are going to be following up from a message here at Westside Community Church this past weekend on the aspect of community life. And we're really kind of diving in to find out, are the people that I'm currently connecting with, is this crew or these crews, are they helping me move forward in my life? And if not, could it be that something's missing? Well, if that's got you thinking a little bit, we're going to be talking about that and unpacking it a bit today. But let me give you a couple of things from our weekend message. We talked a little bit about how we belong, we believe individually. In other words, if you're a person of faith, you came to faith in God and Jesus individually. It was a choice that you made, but we transform together. And so this is why it's so important for us to just kind of ask that question, is my community moving me forward? We know this, a couple of stats, that the clinical depression rate of teenagers moved so fast in the last 10 years, it doubled in America, which kind of calls into question what's going on in this aspect. There's this loneliness and all of these problems among teenagers, and as we know, also among adults. And then we also found out that 25% of teenage girls have made a suicide plan. And we got to figure out, how do we do better? So we're going to be talking today about that. And I want to just introduce my friend Shauna, who serves at Westside in our children's ministry and is one of the nicest people that I have ever met. And just so glad to have you not only on the team at Westside, but here with us in the podcast. And we'd love to hear a little bit about your experience in community.
Yeah, thank you. I'm originally from California. I moved out here. Me and my fiance at the time, now husband, it was a very blind move to Oregon. And so I had no friends, no family. I was pretty deep in depression when we moved here. So you have depression mixed with loneliness. And, I was just like really looking for community.
Yeah.
And so I had left my church in California and I was part of a growth group that I just felt like really helped me. And so when I moved, they urged me to find a church immediately and get connected. And so I started my church hop. Westside was my first hop. And
wow, really?
Yeah, never went anywhere else.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah.
So you have no idea how good those other churches actually are.
This one called to me.
Right.
God guided me to this one. So,
That's great.
Yeah. And, Westside made it really easy to connect. So you guys started talking about growth groups and I started signing up for them, even though I was super scared. I would sign up for them and then think, why did I sign up for this? I'm going to have to talk to people I don't know. But, I told myself, if something goes wrong, change groups, right?
There you go.
Yeah. So, but it all worked out. I can't imagine if I didn't start doing growth groups,
So for you, that was a big part of your experience with the community.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would join women's growth groups and my husband would have to give me a pep talk all the way over there because I just had anxiety, I'm sure most people can relate to that.
Sure, yeah.
And, it's hard to make friends as an adult, and so, I would join growth groups. I participated in the growth groups because I feel like you can't go and just be silent. You have to participate and, and that really, I just kept joining growth groups. There was never growth.
But a lot of people struggle with that right there. Like that you were very proactive, right? You came looking for community. When you got into an environment like a growth group, you told yourself, I got to participate. So how do you get out over that's scary, right? Your husband gave you pep talks. Was there anything else that helped besides the pep talks from your husband?
I just had to have faith. I really told myself that this has to be, if there's going to be any place that's safe and judgment free, it's going to be a group around Christians, right? If they're going to judge me, they at least have to do it quietly. And so
Okay.
I don't know. It just felt safe. I just really had to take that leap of faith and, so, it was scary. Sometimes I would even start talking in a growth group and then obviously everyone looks at you when you talk. And so then that voice in your head would be like, why are you talking? They're all looking at you. But most of the time after a growth group, I would connect with someone who would say, I loved what you said and it made me relate because my daughter, or I could relate to you.
Yeah.
And so it just made it less scary.
Totally. And you've actually made some pretty good friends that way, right?
I would say literally all one of my friends from church I've met in a growth group.
That's
just
cool.
keep going to growth groups and you eventually see some of the same faces and volunteering that also, you see some of those faces. And so just being consistent with trying to connect. And I have a great group of women that now I can really count on, to guide me, just to kind of keep me on track, so it's, it's life-changing for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to tell us the story about how you met Nicole?
Yes, actually. So my one of my best friends, Nicole, I met her at Westside. Turns out we both lived in the same small city in Hesperia, which no one knows about this city. And I think it was my first growth group, actually, one of your growth groups for new members of the church. Okay. And so we were doing one of Melissa's famous icebreakers.
Oh, my wife, Melissa, she loves games. Yeah.
Me too. And so during the icebreaker, I mentioned Hesperia. She was like, I'm from Hesperia. And turns out we lived in the same city, went to rival high schools. She eventually moved to Oregon, her, I think, sophomore year. And we connected on Pastor Gabe and Melissa's couch.
Wow.
Years after high school, so we lived in the same city at one point. That's so fun. Right. That's a God situation for sure. It is.
But did you guys start all of a sudden now you're besties right away, or how did that develop?
Growth groups. So
you just kept on going back.
We just happened to, we connected in the beginning of that growth group, and then growth groups come around again. Of course, you go to a growth group, so then when you see each other on church on Sunday, a
little more,
you connect more, and then the growth group season comes up again, and it's like, what group are you signing up for? I think I'm going to sign up for that group too. And so
people are allowed to talk to each other outside of Sundays or?
Oh, it's encouraged for sure. we love game nights. But the connection definitely started in growth groups. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And what's nice is the growth groups, they end and then they start up again. So you can group hop, I've joined so many different growth groups because every leader is not going to do it every season. And so don't let that be a reason why you don't sign up. Just find a new group. So I, have many groups that, I always sign up for growth groups. My favorite time of season. Everyone in my personal life, work life, they know once growth season happens, that day I'm out.
Well, that's why Jessica brought a gold star for you today. Yeah. Good job. Well, we love having you. You bring a lot of that energy and just encouragement for people not to be afraid, and so thanks for sharing about your story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Jess is, if you don't know Jess, she is on our team at Westside and really directs our groups and what we would think of as discipleship or following Jesus and those things that would move us forward. And one of the things that we've discovered is there are some key elements about community that either make it something that moves you forward or something that doesn't, right?
Yeah. And you know what? I love hearing you tell your story and your experience with community. And we did kind of talk about this a little bit ahead of time. And I mentioned the concept of the core four that we have here at Westside. And you didn't even know what that was. But even as you tell your story, I can hear those elements as like as you share. And so the core 4, if you don't know, is just something that we've discovered over a period of time. Is what helps to create transformational community. We found these commonalities, and that is a regular engagement. So you got to show up to start to develop these relationships, and you got to do it on a regular basis. What deepening relationships, that's number 2. And so as you're showing up on a regular basis, you're starting to connect more, and you're starting to build these relationships that create space for things like really knowing somebody, really getting to know that you grew up in the same town, but you didn't even know, but also creating a space where you can, as you deepen those relationships, you end up creating space for people to encourage you and for you to encourage them, and for people to hold you accountable to the things that you've set goals for, and for you to do that for them. And so those deepening relationships are really important for number 3. And number 3 is creating a space where you can find your next spiritual step, whatever that might be. So you're deepening your faith and you're growing together in community. And as you said, that Gabe, as you said, that really is important for that transformation to happen and to move us forward. Yeah. And then the 4th thing, when you're really engaged, that's when you start to develop an ability to recognize where you can have your responsibility or your unique contribution, where you can figure out, what it is that God gifted you with particularly, and how you can use that in your community. And I have heard you share all of those things, I think that's pretty amazing.
We'll say, I've done the HCLI through church, and
which is like turbo leadership training, right?
Yeah.
And, it was that group of women that I've come to really know. We started off as an if table, and we've kind of drifted from that. It's just like, I don't know, life friends, at this point. And, it was really their encouragement to apply for the leadership program and doing it that I was like, maybe I could do it, because when you have self-doubt, you have people around you that remind you like you're capable of doing hard things. And
absolutely,
we're reading the Bible in a year, and it keeps you accountable because you're doing it through the Bible app. And, I obviously have to go in and, read for the day because I've already seen notifications for everyone else in my group getting it done.
I love
so it's nice. We can chat about it, and so definitely. I think it does help you keep you accountable, and I just can't imagine.
Yeah. How have you identified what your spiritual gifting is and been able to use that in your group on some level?
I would say, my top one was mercy showing, which, took me a moment to really sit with that, but I think that helps me connect. I mean, with, my group, and everyone does have kind of something different. And I think that's what helps us be strong, because someone else is going to be able to use their gift at a time like, if I don't have that gift. So I think it just keeps us well balanced. And and it's helped me even, maybe, with volunteering in kids ministry, so I think it's just cool seeing what your spiritual gifts are and seeing how you naturally use them. Because that's what happened to me. I took the test and I was like, okay, these are cool. And then you guys brought it up again. And so a year later, checked my results and I was like, oh, okay. Turns out these are gifts and I am using them.
That's awesome. Can you think of a specific instance though where you were able to use that gift of mercy and see how that really built up or supported somebody in your group or your group as a whole?
I just feel like it's helped me connect with the gals because we all go through life situations, and helped me connect and with someone and, pray, and just helps you connect. And it feels good to the other person when you can really connect with someone.
Yeah.
So.
Mercy is a big one. That's good.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions for you, Jess.
Yeah.
Because if for somebody who's maybe listening in and maybe not a part of our church, maybe not a part of a church, maybe doesn't have a faith background. You know, if you're kind of peering in a little bit, just maybe let's demystify this a little bit because we've thrown out some language like growth groups.
Yeah.
Can you get transformational community if you're not signed up with one of Westside's growth groups?
Well, I honestly would say that the transformational community, like I said, comes from having those four moving parts, right? And so if you have a community that you've pulled together intentionally that has all of those things, then
So we don't have all the answers?
No.
Oh, okay. No. Just checking. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, I think it's so important, right? Because like these things are in the Bible. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I love about the idea of community is it's God's idea.
Yeah.
And so he has put it inside of our souls to crave those things.
Yeah.
And so maybe you're, listening, watching, and you're like, well, I don't even live near a church, could I still have this? Yeah. And I think those great four markers are so good.
Yeah.
Obviously my thing as a pastor is like, get to a church, go to a church, be part of a church. And I think, the more people, of course, in our own faith community who are part of a church, part of, community like that are going to grow and move. How do you feel about the idea that we've seen this now possible in multiple environments, right? Mm-hmm. Describe some of the other ways that people can build these sort of families.
I love this question because I think a lot of times we step out and say, hey, I need to be invited into this kind of environment. And I don't think that that's necessarily the truth. I think that you can create this environment. I also think that, I don't think I know because we've seen it happen here at Westside. Like people just connect in different ways. Mm-hmm. And so at Westside, we have growth groups. We call growth groups a time where you just get together and you hang out with people and you have good conversation. And sometimes you have food and challenge each other and learn together. And we call that growth groups at Westside, but it's just community. It's getting together with some people and being intentional about how you do that.
And generally around scripture, a Bible teaching of some kind and moving that way.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And then we've also found that people get together, that people like to connect serving. Mm-hmm. So, we've got serving teams at Westside. So depending on how it is that you, are wired, how it is that God put you together and what your passions are and the things that you like to do, you can use those things on a team and still have that same kind of connection with community. And, you're still meeting together on a regular basis. You're still building deep relationships. You're still like encouraging and cheering each other on spiritually. And on a team, you are naturally finding a place where you, can have unique impact and be responsible for something. So those are the environments that we see here. And I think that you can create them anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember kind of when we started to develop this thinking a little bit about, maybe there's multiple ways where people can build the same kind of result in their life. Because it's tough to think there's only literally like one thing I could do that's going to like somehow check all the boxes for my life, right?
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, different people have different styles. And I remember thinking as we were evaluating things like our group environments where it's like they're great at lots of stuff. We don't often see the serving side there or the expressing my gift side there. So could we pull that in? And then we looked at the volunteering side and said, it's great for lots of stuff. We don't often see the community side there or the fellowship side there. Could we pull that in?
Yep.
And so trying to build an ecosystem really of like things that can move us all in the same direction and realizing that there's going to be different ways people do it. But if they can connect around these things, that's great.
Have you ever experienced a community that wasn't transformational? And can you tell the difference?
I can. Don't get me wrong. I've had, a lot of great communities, but not all of them challenge you to be a better person and to strive, for better. And so I will say my great group of women, they're your greatest cheerleaders, but they're not going to let you stay stagnant. One of the questions we ask often is like, as a group, are we doing what we should be doing? How can we grow together? That's why we chose to read the Bible in a year, So I think that's the difference is like these group of women want me to grow closer to God, And so and they don't let me forget it. If I'm having a bad day, like they bring me back on track, what's ultimately, the big picture. And so I just think transformational, having a group that will hold you accountable like that is just different when God's in the picture.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us for this brief little episode. We hope it's been encouraging to you. And I want to encourage you to start asking that question, like, is my community moving me forward? Am I better off every time that I'm around the people? Or do I need to maybe add some people to my community? Do I maybe need to add some elements to my community? Maybe I need to join a new community. And if so, we'd love to help you with that. In fact, I'd love to ask you 2 favors. One, would you subscribe and share to this podcast? We'd love to get the word out and just spread the hope a little bit more. And also, we'd love to invite you to check out Sunday service at Westside. And you could do that. It's super easy. You can do it online at westsidecommunitychurch.com, or you could do this in person if you're in the Portland, Oregon area at our campus right here. And so we want to invite you to do that one way or the other. But we hope you have a great week, and thanks again for joining us.